Welcome into another Ask Anything mailbag. And we don't just say it, we mean it. You can ask anything, and we are talking all things aqua and orange. Any question you've got about the Miami Dolphins, use that hashtag Dolphins, and let's get into it. Or as always, you can super chat like JB did. Shout out to JB supporting the show, keeping the lights on here at Chat Sports with this super chat. And tremendous question, if I do say so myself, using the hashtag Dolphins. Where do you think the Dolphins stand after the horrendous loss? Great question. Now, Monday night, I was ready to walk off a cliff and pull my hair out. And I know that's a little bit dark, but I think we all were, right? I mean, you gag away a 14-point lead in the final 3 minutes of a game. ESPN Analytics gave the Dolphins a better than 99% chance to win that game after they scored the second touchdown. So to lose it was just an egregious, and as I said in our postgame show, a disgusting act. But just like it's such as in many cases in life, you take a step back, you get a good night's sleep, time goes on, time heals some of the wounds. And yes, it was an agonizing, really unacceptable collapse and a tough loss, especially when you consider that the Ravens won last week. So you take a full game back for that number one seed in the AFC against a lesser opponent in the Titans. They'll at home. The list goes on and on and on. Now, a couple days later, you look at the remaining schedule. You think, all right, we can win this upcoming game against the Jets. We still control our own destiny in the AFC East, and that divisional title is closer and closer and closer, but you got to take care of business. So the positive spin I've got for you is let this serve as a wake-up call for the Miami Dolphins and never let it happen again, and do everything you can to perform at your very best every single day. All the cliches, 1% better each day. Do your 111th. Practice like there's no tomorrow. Win the game on Wednesday before you get out there on Sunday. This, that, and the other. And go out on Sunday between the white lines. Every man play and do their very best. So I know I'm getting a little fired up, but it's hard not to think the sky is falling after a bad loss like that, but everything's still in front of them. And I think Sunday will tell us a lot. If the Dolphins are able to get back on track, I think this team is back. And then we've got the final 3-game push against some really tough teams. Glamorous Python. Glamorous Python. So that means he has multiple glamorous pythons, he or she. Can we please be more consistent with our game plan and also start involving other wide receivers? That is a reasonable gripe to have with the game plan that Miami put forth on Monday Night Football against the Titans. Completely agree. Jalen Waddle was somewhat hot at the beginning of the game and really saw his productivity kind of falter down the stretch. And I know Tyreek commands the majority of the attention, and rightfully so. He's earned that. He's the most dynamic playmaker in the league, or one of the most dynamic playmakers in the league, so I don't have everybody in the comments, but you get the idea. He is a game-changing player. However, you have other weapons there, and oddly enough, I thought Monday night represented one of the best rushing attacks the Dolphins have had all season, which is part of why you were pulling your hair out when the Dolphins didn't run the ball inside the 10. They were really bad in the red zone, just the 2 touchdowns out of the 5 trips. They had a field goal block. They had the fumble. There were a lot of different areas that from that game that you could point to and say, we need better execution. As for the game plan, I really trust Mike McDaniel in that component because that's how he made his mark in the NFL. I'm not saying Monday night's game plan was perfect and that he's flawless as a coach, but that's how he made his money. That's how he rose up the ranks first in Washington, then with San Francisco, and now obviously as the head coach with the Dolphins. So that's the component of the game I really trust Mike McDaniel to, but I want to see better execution from the Dolphins offense, better game management from Mike McDaniel and Frank Smith, all of that compiling to a better performance against the Jets on Sunday. Henry T. What's more concerning, Connor Williams' injury or Tyreek Hill's injury? That is a great question. And I think we have we do have a lot more clarity now with Connor Williams that torn ACL, out for the season, major bummer. Tyreek Hill, day to day. That means it's fluid, it's changing. You know, there can be a good day versus a bad day when it comes to the ankle stuff. So with Connor Williams, I think the clarity helps you plan for the future, saying, hey, there's no chance we're going to have Connor Williams. Even though he was the top-graded center according to Pro Football Focus, he's unfortunately done for the season. Now it's about moving forward with the offensive line, and in particular, specifically the center position, which you saw the Dolphins do by making a couple of signings to add to the Dolphins' offensive line depth, and maybe perhaps even being guys that could make an impact on the field for the Dolphins. But Liam Eichenberg, the center job is yours until it's not, but he's played well throughout the course of the season, but Monday night was definitely a step back for Liam Eichenberg. But we've seen him do it this year, so I have confidence in Liam Eichenberg and the center position for the Dolphins, whereas with Tyreek, if that ankle continues to be a nagging injury and he's not at 100%, well, it's a little bit sad and depressing to think about because we saw on Monday night what that Dolphins offense is without Tyreek Hill, and it was very pedestrian. Now, a lot of people have made this point, and I would tend to agree with it. Yes, the Dolphins were pedestrian and not very good on offense without Tyreek Hill, but if, and I'm saying if, please hear me, I'm saying if, I'm not speaking anything into existence, but if there's a scenario where the Dolphins are without Tyreek Hill, there's more of time to plan and to creatively come up with a game plan to utilize the rest of your weapons, to be able to get Devon Achane more involved, to get Raheem Mostert in the rushing attack more involved, to utilize Jalen Waddle, and so on and so forth, where it's not as sudden as losing a player in the middle of the game like we saw on Monday night. So to answer that, I think the potential of losing Tyreek Hill would be absolutely detrimental. But again, nothing set in stone. It's a very fluid situation. He's day to day, week to week, and so on and so forth. And I'm confident in this coaching staff to be able to deal with the cards that they're dealt. Brian, 35, says, do you think the new center Tua will have with... Let me try that again. Do you think with the new center, Tua will have enough protection? I'm so sorry, guys. Yes, I do. I think Liam Eichenberg, it's still going to be his. I think expect to see Liam Eichenberg as the starting center, and I am confident that the Dolphins will be better up front. Tua was pressured on 39% of his dropbacks against the Titans on Monday Night Football, and that was the highest percentage because if you remember, before that week 14 game against the Titans, the Dolphins' offensive line had allowed the fewest quarterback hits in the NFL and the third fewest sacks. Now they gave up 5 sacks against the Titans, so that's going to hurt them in that statistical category. But I'm confident that Butch Barry can get the offensive line back to performing at a high level with a solid week of practice, and they'll have their hands full against a really good Jets defensive line. Before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to today's presenting sponsor, GameTime. GameTime is the only, that's right, no hesitation, not even kidding, the only ticketing app you need because A, it's the most convenient, and B, you get the guarantee of the lowest price even on last-minute ticket deals. So GameTime is uniquely created to provide that excellent deal on the last-minute tickets and the lowest price guarantee. It's also a really easy app to use. So whether it be for a professional football game, basketball game, concerts, any live event, you got to use the GameTime app. It's the only ticketing app I use. And what I also love is you get that nice high-resolution photo of where your seats will be, so there's no deception. Just a few clicks of the button on the smartphone, and you've got yourself tickets. Lots of flexible payment options as well. And I'm telling you guys, GameTime is the only ticketing app you'll need. It is simply the best. I use it for all of my live event purchases. In fact, just went to a concert a couple weekends ago, and you know I use the GameTime app for that. And because we love you and we care about you, we got a special deal for you. Using that promo code FINSCHAT when you create your account, you'll get $20 off. Let me say that again. You'll get $20 off with promo code FINSCHAT when you create an account. So don't hesitate. Snag the tickets without any stress by using GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code FINSCHAT, PHINSCHAT, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but create an account, redeem that code FINSCHAT for $20 off, and download the GameTime app today for last-minute tickets and the lowest price guaranteed. Let's get into a few more mailbag questions from 305 guy. Do you think Xaven Howard will play against the Jets? Yes. Now, there were a lot of injury news that came out on the Monday Night Football game. Obviously, Javon Holland missed the game. Connor Williams now out for the season. Deshaun Elliott was a little bit banged up and was in concussion protocol. So updates continuing to come in as we get closer and closer to Sunday's game. But I'm confident Xaven Howard will play. He took a shot to the ribs early in the game, but then came back in the game and actually played really well for him in that cornerback position. He and Jalen Ramsey both, I thought, had solid games. Now, they can be better, and they have shown they've been better, especially that secondary as a whole, as it relates to being a strength of that defense. So I expect a big bounce-back game for the entire Dolphins defense, and Xaven Howard, one of the best corners in the league, on the other side of Jalen Ramsey, who you could make the case is the best corner in the league. I feel good about the Dolphins secondary. CC Top. With Bill Belichick leaving, does that mean the Patriots dynasty is officially over? This is an interesting question. More and more continues to come out with this. I saw a report earlier that perhaps Gerard Mayo may be Bill Belichick's successor. But until there's, the official news that Bill Belichick is in fact leaving, or he's being fired or traded, or in summary won't be the coach of the New England Patriots next year, I'm not ready to believe it yet. However, I think when you consider where this team is at in the state of the New England Patriots, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say the dynasty is in fact over, because the fall from the prowess that they showed in the AFC for so many years, they are so far away from that. And they really, you look at that roster and you just don't see anybody that's even close to being the type of player that puts them back in that path. And I know there's a lot of components that go into having a dynasty: the front office, the coaching staff, the players, everything in between. And the Patriots are just so far from that. And I don't think we'll see them return to glory for, I'll say, several years. But what say you? Let me know in the comments. Is the Patriots dynasty over? Yes or no? I think it's a resounding yes. A couple more to get to here on our mailbag. FreshFin72 says, can't take frat boy Mike McDaniel serious. Oh, no. Perhaps this stemming from Hard Knocks. If you've watched Hard Knocks, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes footage. Obviously, that's the whole point of the show. And I think Mike McDaniel, all right, I'm going to get a little bit general here and very broad, but just bear with me here. I think a lot of times people, when they're leading an organization that's winning, if they're a little bit unique and different, and if they're winning, then it's fun, then it's refreshing, and you get all these positive adjectives to describe a different style. But the first sign of losing, the first sign of trouble, then it becomes the negative association of everything with being different and unique. And it's no longer refreshing and cutting edge. It's off-putting. It's different. It's act like you've been there before, Mike McDaniel. So I don't want to go ahead and I don't even know, FreshFin, if you're implying this, that you can't, you don't see him fit to lead an NFL team. But I think, like in a lot of things in life, winning cures all. So if and when the Dolphins get back to winning and continue to put together arguably their best season in years, and now obviously they have to finish strong to pull that off, but if the Dolphins win, then I think Mike McDaniel's funny, refreshing, cutting edge. If they lose, then he's off-putting. He's a frat boy. He doesn't have what it takes. He's not serious enough, and so on and so forth. So I'll leave everybody to make their own conclusions. I don't want to tell you how to think or how to feel. If you don't love his style, I certainly acknowledge that his style is different, and it's, I guess, in the eyes of the beholder of whether or not it's effective. But so far, 9-4 on the season, in first place in the AFC East. You got to respect the progress that he's made in just year 2 as a head coach. David Gentry, do you think Tua is off his game? Something seemed off about him in the game Monday night. I would completely agree. Hands down, a resounding yes. I don't know if it was playing under the lights. I don't know if it was the offensive line's lackluster performance that then has a trickle-down effect. I don't know what it was, but he certainly looked off his game. Obviously, losing Tyreek Hill for the better portion of that game has a huge impact on Tua as well. But we've seen him make some of the throws that he wasn't making in that Monday Night Football game. But there's still plenty of flashes of brilliance from Tua. And I know the comments are going to go crazy with that. What brilliance? But you look at a couple of those throws he had down the field in the second half when Tyreek Hill came back. He's still able to fit it in a lot of tight windows that many other NFL quarterbacks aren't. And the only thing, not the only thing, there's several things that concern me, but he really wasn't able to escape pressure. He didn't look as mobile as he has in the past. And so I will not even argue this comment from David Gentry that he seemed a little bit off Monday night. I agree. But like we said in our Dolphins-Jets preview, that if you haven't seen yet, it's on the channel, go check it out. This is a great opportunity for Tua and the offense as a whole to make a statement against a really good Jets defense on Sunday. They're going to have their work cut out for them, and I expect, number one, Tua Tagovailoa to go out and play like an MVP candidate. Robert Fritz, what's up, Robert? Why have I not heard Nick Needham's name since his return? Yeah, he really hasn't played a lot. And I think you point to one guy, number 4, Keke Coutee. He has been excellent at that nickel corner, inside corner, whatever you want to call it. And one thing I love about first-year defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is when he speaks to the media, he kind of gives it to you as it is. And it's a little bit of an old-school coaching mentality to say, hey, this guy makes plays, so I want to be able to utilize him. But that's what I think you see with Vic Fangio and Keke Coutee. Keke Coutee is a guy that has had success blitzing off the edge from his nickel corner position, locking down other teams' slot receivers, and doing a lot of things well to be able to find favor with Vic Fangio so that Keke Coutee is the guy playing that nickel corner as opposed to Nick Needham. Fins fan for life. I feel pretty confident against most wildcard teams, only worried if we have to play the Bills. I think that's fair because the Bills are kind of a wild card, and that's a perfect term for it, obviously. I didn't even mean to do that. But the Bills can be that feast or famine type team where Josh Allen can look like the best quarterback in the NFL or he can lead the world in interceptions. And so when you look at this graphic of who's still in the hunt, obviously Buffalo, Cincinnati, Denver, and Houston all right there at 7-6. And the Colts, Steelers, and Browns, your current wild card teams right now. But the Colts and Steelers are going to play on Saturday. So depending on when you're watching this, that game might have even gone final. But the point being is this wild card picture is really going to have quite the shakeup down the stretch, as is the entire playoff run. That's what makes it fun. And I would agree with that. I think the Dolphins would be clear favorites at home against whoever they match up, but the Bills, of those possible wild card candidates, certainly concerns me. I think you throw the Browns on that list because of how good their defense is, but I would have a lot of confidence in the Dolphins' defense against the Browns' offense based on the way both sides have been playing. So, yeah, I think that's a fair statement regarding the Bills as a tough wild card team to play. All right, want to thank everybody for tuning in to our latest Ask Anything mailbag. It's always a pleasure to be on the air with you, and that is why you subscribe, my friends. We've always got you covered on all angles with the Aqua and Orange, and let's get ready for that Dolphins-Jets game. Join us for our watch party. We'll be live at noon Eastern on Sunday. Can't wait to see you then on Dolphins Today.